it's Amy from Neo-vedic, and today I want to look at, well, essentially I've had, some questions about whether, what's happening with Kamala Harris, and of course in the news at the moment, what's going to happen with Biden. People are saying that he needs to step down, people are saying that he's too old, he can't run again, so on and so forth. Now, let's throw up his chart. But first, if you're interested in having a reading with me, please go to moonmindology.com and don't forget to like, subscribe and leave me a comment. So, he hasn't really got any transits going on before 2025 for us to really analyse. Jupiter's going to be aspecting his Saturn on the 14th of July. And Jupiter tends to be a good planet for him. But Saturn, it really is a mixed bag, and it owns the third house as well. But it gets directional strength in the 7th. So, it's also pretty neutral in Taurus as well. And if you look on the Shadbala, it says that it's quite a weak planet overall. So let's look at the last time this aspect happened. It was the beginning of August 2012, and his son was ill during that time, but it wasn't until a year later when his oldest son, Beau Biden, was diagnosed with brain cancer. So I would surmise that this probably was a stressful period for him. But we then go back again, and it was October the year 2000. And there's nothing really that I can find predominantly other than a month later his mentor William Roth was defeated, and I think he exited the Senate. So I can't really imagine that he was overly happy about that. And then if we go back again, it takes us to 1988. Now, this is incidentally the year that Biden was meant to run for president. But he couldn't because he ended up having a brain aneurysm, and there was a whole load of scandal a year before as well. And I think it was his second aneurysm and the second surgery for it. But yeah, if anything, I would have said, using this historic information, the bad thing may have already happened and he's just enduring now. And I tend to be a little bit more concerned about, the 6-12 axes, as there's a lot of negative planets there, but this point isn't being activated. But Uranus will be retrograding at the end of the year from December into March 2025, but Jupiter will be hanging around that Saturn, or hanging around Saturn around the inauguration as well. So I would hazard a guess that there could be a change in residence. But other than that, I do think his career is over, and he's had a very long career, 180 years in the Senate, according to him. Anyways, moving on to Kamala. Kamala. Now, she will be, or will she be celebrating her 60th birthday as the first female president of the United States? Looking at the dashas, I think there is a lot going on with career and success, but her big moment where her chart really lit up was between April 2015 and January 2023. And I just don't think that she has the potential to do it now. She missed her opportunity. And I wouldn't be surprised if she maybe went back to law or, maybe didn't run again. But she has her Saturn return as well recently, or she had it recently, and that was in her 9th house. So there can be a crisis of faith in some cases. But, this is also the house of law. So she may be wanting to go back to her roots as well. Saturn is also aspecting her house of daily work and the 11th house of politics as well as associates. And this is a time where she should be shining, but she is struggling because you really need that 11th house to be activated, not afflicted. She could, if she didn't have that, she would be doing better, I say. But Saturn is going backwards and forwards over a point that opposes Pluto and Venus in her 3rd. And, if she is going to take over Biden and become the first female president, you know, that would be August or September, because that's when the transits are happening. But it doesn't look likely to me, if I'm honest, because the D10 doesn't support it. But yeah, I mean, the only other time where it might be lit up is November 2025, but that's going to be outside of the election. So let's look at the aspects. So on the 29th of July 2024, Saturn is going to be exactly opposite of Venus. So Saturn on Venus is traditionally about slowing of relationships or endings, and there could be a sense of isolation as well. It's the 9th house of faith, solutions and travel, and it's aspecting the 3rd house, which is also about travel, and Venus rulership brings the meanings of self-expression and advisory positions, as well as, you know, being part of institutions, which the Senate is. And all in all, I think she could be doing a lot of travel, maybe you know, a lot of campaigning. I don't know if she's starting a campaign at the moment or at the end of the month, but you know, I think that she will be on the move during that time. And then there isn't any transits until the 26th of November, and that's Uranus transiting Jupiter, and there can be a lot of change for her career and also in her relationships as well. It could be endings during this time, and she can encounter expenditure and feel quite isolated and confined as well. Then in February 2025, the 12th of February 2025, Saturn's going to be exactly opposite Venus, and that happened earlier in July as well. And so it's a repeat because you've got the retrograde and it's going back over. And I don't think that she's going to be the next VP or the next president personally, but you know, elections are really hard to predict, as I found. There's so much going on with them, and you know, I've had a good go at it, but it's difficult. But you know, I'd say with this, there's more travel and difficulty in relationships. 3rd of April 2025, Uranus again transits Jupiter, and this is a repeated transit, so there can be again a lot of change in her career as well as potential ending to things. And then the 4th of April 2025, Saturn fully aspects Jupiter. So there can be some setbacks, especially in career, relationships, as that's what Jupiter rules. There's a lot going on in her 12th house as well. And I think she's going to see a lot, you know, she's going to perhaps feel isolated, confined, setback, or simply she may be working in an institution such as the Senate. But you know, all in all, I don't really see a win for these two. I could be wrong, as I've said. It's more of a slow dwindle that I think. But you know, I was wrong about France. So you know, there's always strange things happening and other people involved. So you know, it's difficult to measure. But thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Thank you very much. Bye.